It is late. I've got a Wyoming headband on and a beer in my hand, and I need to be up early. But let's do this.
You've been watching Yellowstone, huh?
Sorry, I've been what?
You've been watching Yellowstone, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, not the show, but I watched the trailers.
All right, let's kick this thing off. We got a big Bellator week this week. We got a couple other crazy promotions and no UFC already.
All right, guys, make sure to like us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Brandon and I put a lot of time and effort into all the video, all the content that we do. We really tape a lot. Brandon goes above and beyond for the regional shows, including Bellator, CFFC, LFA, and in addition to our actual picks, our notes, our so much more. We have a Discord chat, a whole community where Brandon, tell a little bit about the Discord.
The Discord's an amazing place. We have a lot of smart people, a lot smarter than myself. They put up stock picks, they put up NFTs. This community is it's a great community for one common goal, and that's to make money. So
come check us out. Click the link in the notes, and you will see over there. Man, I was actually freaking out because I was a couple of days ago doing film like crazy on the Strickland fight and Jack Hermanson. I was like, man, Brandon, are you going to be able to film? We got to do this. We got to do this. And you're like, that's not till next week. And I was like, oh, hallelujah to all of the gods and all of the lands. I've got a little extra time because this week has been wild. I got yelled at by my Crispy Crunchy corporate office today because
we're looking too white and not appealing to your customer base. Yeah,
always. Hey, we weren't selling sides on the weekends. We just kind of do a limited menu on the weekends because we just opened up. We're not super busy. Our store is not super busy on the weekend anyways. And a guy came in a couple weeks ago, and I guess he's some real douchebag blogger, and started yelling that we didn't have sides on the weekends. And the woman was like, we didn't have sides. She's like, we just don't do sides on the weekends. We have potato wedges and chicken, but we don't do the mashed potatoes. We don't do the red beans, jambalaya. It's just not enough foot traffic. So this guy goes nuts, goes all the way up to our corporate. I get yelled at because they're like, well, if you're open, you need to offer every single menu item. I'm like, we don't even have a dedicated kitchen person on Saturday and Sunday. It's the store person who's just cooking stuff just to make sure there's something out there. So I got yelled at for that today. So I was dealing with that. Gas pumps are going out. Fights are happening everywhere. And here we are. I'm here with you.
I've actually been meaning to ask you, are you hiring?
Oh, man,
this has been the worst 3 weeks ever.
I'm about to quit my job as an MMA coach and podcaster and just go work at the station full time. Probably less stress and more money.
No kidding. All right, let's kick it off.
I think this is LaCroix.
Let's kick it off. What are you drinking?
I think it's non-alcoholic LaCroix. Yeah, it's LaCroix, right? I just poured it in a cup.
Now, sorry guys, but we're just a little off topic. Can we squash the debate on the best LaCroix?
Oh, hands down. What are you drinking? Is it limoncello? Or
it's only the limoncello.
I was blown away by the limoncello the other day. I've had like 30 different LaCroix flavors. Brandon and I we're LA for Vanessa's fight.
Los Angeles.
LA put us in a room together. Brandon was there. I opened the fridge. There's lemon LaCroix, which I don't know the difference. Drink it. Oh my gosh. I've never been happier in my life.
Mid-sentence. We're talking about fights. We're talking about everything. Mid-sentence, you just cut off and stop and say, what the hell is this?
There's nothing more important at the moment than talking about that limoncello LaCroix. So if you guys like LaCroix, go drink the limoncello one, and you will love LaCroix. And again, shout out to our sponsor.
It's not just because they're a sponsor of the show. Yeah. It's not just because they're a sponsor of the show, guys. Nobody does it like LaCroix. I'm just going to be dead honest. I tried them all. There's nobody.
And nobody does. But yeah, so we do not have a UFC fight this week. And usually our Bellator stuff, our regional stuff, and it's weird to call Bellator a regional thing, but it's not the UFC. So usually our Bellator card
It's in my region this week.
It is, It's in our region. It's in Phoenix. Usually we save these for the Patreon, just exclusive, LFA, CFFC. But we just figured, why not? We'll do one for the masses. We talk about Bellator and then a little bit about Eagle FC. There's not an LFA this week, but it is actually one of the better Bellators. And Eagle FC, Habib Nurmagomedov's show, they're signing some pretty good fighters, and they're paying pretty well. The next, not the one coming up this week, but the next one I think is Kevin Lee and Diego Sanchez, and they're paying pretty well. I'm curious. I need to find out.
I imagine they're paying Diego double just for the head trauma he's about to endure.
Oh my gosh! Like, I was thinking that, the smart money says Kevin Lee just murks Diego, and the dumb money says that too. But Kevin Lee's got a little bit of weird quit in him, and I don't know that Diego's going to bring it out. But I really like Kevin Lee's skill set, and I really don't like his anything after round one fighting ability these days.
That was horrible. Yeah, that last fight was horrible. I was watching all the old Kevin Lee clips, and I was like, man, this dude's a world beater. He's incredible. And then he just got murked after one round. Forgot how to wrestle, forgot how to conserve energy, moved up a weight, and still had cardio issues.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with him. But on Eagle, so let's start with Eagle. This is Habib's show. The main event is Tyrone Spong and Sergey Karatanov, who Sergey's got to be, 97 in fight years at this point? Like how he's only 41. He may as well be 82 because he's been fighting since, for as long as I can remember. He was fighting in Pride. He was fighting in Japan for forever, before. But let me see how old Tyrone is.
He's 36. He's
older.
On death's door,
yeah.
To be honest.
He's on death's door. It really comes down to how much steroids is Sergey on these days to make him as young and spry. He's like Crow Cop. Crow Cop got, he's like 100 years old, and then Father Time left him alone for a little while because of, Father Juice, and now he had a little bit of a comeback. Do you think Sergey? Does he stand with him, or does he just go right for the takedown on Tyrone?
I think he has to, right? Tyrone Spong is such a phenomenal kickboxer, and he's taken so much time off, and he's only gotten better and better and better as a kickboxer. The guy is insane. He's an animal. That being said, I saw the weigh-in photo, and it's listed here on Tapology that Karatanov is a heavyweight and Spong is a light heavyweight. And that's exactly how it looks. They look like 3 weight classes apart. Karatanov just looks massive in his shoulders and his arms, and it looks like at any point when he's ready to big body Tyrone Spong, that's what's happening.
Do you have a read here?
When I first saw this fight, I'm like, oh, Spong by a mile, and that could still be the read. I think the way that this one goes, first of all, for all novice and new bettors to this promotion, I think we need to take an event just to watch, because when you get these new leagues and you get these new things, you never know what's going to go on. Like I tried betting bare knuckle for a couple times, and it takes you a couple events to just kind of get the feel of it, what helps, what doesn't work, like something weird with the Russians, and there's something going to go on, and we need to just relax and enjoy and watch this one.
Well, it's PFL.
Or just an event, unless you want to mess around.
Yeah, it's PFL. You just don't know what to bet. You can't bet it. You expect it's normal. And then, somebody gets beat up for 5 rounds and they give the fight to the other guy. You just don't know how.
Oh, PFL is the easiest one to bet because you're just going to pick all dogs and you're going to make $1 million.
All the people who should, unless they just get knocked out. If it goes to a scorecard, oh my gosh, the plus 2,000 is winning every time.
Especially on the live bet. I can't wait for that.
I think the only bet here with Karatanov.
When we were in
what's that?
Go ahead.
I was going to say the only bet with Karatanov Spong is that it doesn't go the distance. I don't think it goes the distance. Other than that, Spong could starch him. Karatanov could get a takedown and just ground and pound him. But, TKO into turning over and rear naked choking him. I don't think it goes the distance. It's the only thing I would touch here. Spong is the most dynamic striker we're probably ever going to see in this sport. At least in his prime. And I think he could still, he could one punch, one kick, one flick Karatanov, but you don't know. You don't know if he's going to get the shot. Bet the under, bet it doesn't go the distance. Other than that, like you said, stay away. You don't know how the judges are going.
For me, it's Spong or pass on this one. I'm probably going to mess around and play Spong, but I can't put real money on this. We don't know how Spong looks in his takedown defense. We don't know what he's been doing away from MMA. He's been boxing solely now. Like, there's just so many unknowns. And Karatanov just got knocked out by Czech Congo, who's 85 years old. Like, so much we don't know. Have fun with it. Enjoy it. Just watch it.
Yep, I like it. Next, even more so than the fight, the matchup. Rashad Evans is coming back after an ungodly layoff at 42 years old. I mean, he has not fought since 2018, coming 3.5 years. And 3.5 years isn't the end of the world when you're 20 or 30. But coming back at 42, what's Rashad doing? Does he need money? I mean, he's commentating for the UFC. Like,
I doubt it, right?
Yeah, like you would assume. I mean, I'm sure he's not getting rich off of the UFC appearances and stuff, but I mean, is he hurting? Like, how much can Eagle be paying? I mean, is he making 50 grand? I don't even know. What's the read here?
I mean, I think it's just the love of the game, honestly. I think Rashad's a smart guy. I think that's what made Rashad such a good fighter, is how smart he was. So I can only imagine outside of the ring, it would be something similar. I don't know if Eagle FC would be the one to pay him enough to make him come back. I'm sure Bare Knuckle would be way happier to give him a good check if money was what it's about, right? I think it's just love of the game. I think he's ready just to, step back into the fray here.
Man, I just these fights never end well. These guys who come out of retirement and come back for stuff, they just never end well. I think they almost think that their chin is going to be recovered in their body. And I just, man, I don't see it at all. I think it's a bad idea. I think Checo ends up putting him in a retirement again.
Wow.
You disagree?
I mean, no, I'm not mad at that pick. In my heart of hearts, I want to just say Rashad Evans. He's a very smart fighter. He's always been high level. I mean, just his level of competition over the time is insane. But then you look at Gabriel Checo, who's been competing nonstop in all kinds of jiu-jitsu. His last win was a ground and pound victory in the first round. I mean, all those things bode really well for a win for Checo here. He's only 35. Oh, pardon me. He's only 35 versus a 42-year-old. So, experience would say the younger guy is going to win, the more active guy is going to win. But
that's the thing for me is
again,
the activity, the activity of Checo, just that long layoff. How much of that was spent not training? How much of the last 3.5 years has Checo spent training versus Rashad has spent not training? And then, you come back for 6 months, you think you're ready to go, and then you're probably really not ready to go.
Well, and look at Checo's jiu-jitsu matches, right? He lost to Brendan Allen, stupid rule set anyways, Mason Fowler, and then he beat Danilo Marquez, Philip Rowe. He beat Austin Vanderford, Jake Ellenberger. Like, these are all jiu-jitsu matches, but he's been competing against Gordon Ryan, Enrique Coco, Craig Jones, Tackett. Like, these are all, high level guys. So he's a good grappler. If Rashad gets tired, if Rashad gets taken down, I think that could be a tough night for him. And I've never seen Gabriel Checo fight, so please don't put your money on what I'm saying.
Have you not seen the LFA fight where Jordan Wright knocked him out? Doing tape on with Wright?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did, but I focused on Wright in that one. So when I'm watching one person, I don't ever notice the other person.
They don't even exist. I mean, hell, we got John Howard on the card. I mean, this is – I mean –
okay, you want to go into that one?
Oh, my gosh. In a minute we will, but, I mean, we've got Ray Borg, Cody Gibson, which we'll get into. But if you look down this card, you got John Howard, and then you've got Ramazan, Kermaga, so many syllables, I can't even pronounce it. Just use your brain, guys. 9-0 versus a 29-17 UFC vet. Who are they building here? Fight below that, you got Raymond Magomedov. 8-1 against a 16-12 Anthony Njokuani, UFC vet. You got Dylan Salvador and Arman Ospanov. I think he's Kyrgyzstanian or Kazakhstanian. Jorgen De Castro. Let's see. like Radzikov. I mean, this is just look down the list and you see a A side and a B side on every single one of these fights. Pretty much pick the Russian flag or the closest Russian block that you can geographically, pretty much as your winner outside of the top 3 fights.
All right, well, let's go in. Let's just touch on a couple of these.
Okay.
Shooting straight with you guys, I have not studied this one near enough to do a good podcast on it. Bellator is where I've been spending my time, and maybe as we get closer to it in the week.
Yeah, but we know some of these fighters, and just we know the odds. We know the LFA. We've done too many, podcasts and film sessions on LFA, and there's an A side and a B side. And this Eagle card is very similar. Outside, I mean, the top billing of this is really solid. You have Ray Borg, Cody Gibson, Rashad Evans is coming back. This is a fight for him. And then you have Tyrone Spong, Sergey Karatanov. I mean, that's a solid, top billing. But the rest of the card, the undercard, everything down ballot is pretty rough. What other fight did you want to go into?
All right. Well, we can talk about the Ray Borg fight if you want. I don't really know Cody Gibson at all.
Let's do it. Ray Borg, man, that is a guy who is so good. He is so freaking good everywhere. Who did we just? Bontaran. Bontaran, whatever his last name is. I watched his fight with Ray Borg, and Ray Borg outboxed him at will. Gosh, his wrestling, he never even wrestled in high school. He ran track in high school. One of our guys, Roman Salazar, went to high school with him down in San Manuel. And, just some random kid, didn't do anything, ran track, goes out to New Mexico and learns how to wrestle and box. And I have nothing but good things to say about Ray Borg. I think his biggest weakness, why he was cut from the UFC, was his weight. He kept missing weight. Moved up from 125 and then was still missing weight at 135. I have absolutely nothing but good things to say about him. I think if he were still in the UFC, I think he'd be top 5, top 10 like he's always been. That said, he's fighting Cody Gibson, who is a tough guy. He's tall. He's 5'10". He's a good wrestler. He's trained with, he's a pit guy. John Hackelman, he's a striker, but he can wrestle, and he just beat John Dodson, who I think is such a hard fight for anybody. I can't believe when people beat John Dodson. I think this is a really tough fight. I think Ray Borg gets it. It would not surprise me to see Gibson pull off the win, though.
Yeah, it looks like the odds are about right on this one. I mean, it's pretty close to a pick 'em. The one thing I really like, because, man, Ray Borg's a little guy. I'm 5'7". I can make 125. Ray Borg is 5'4" and struggled to make not only 25, but also 35. So sometimes that tells me lack of dedication, lack of discipline. He's a little chunky and likes to eat around the holidays. But, man, is he talented. He's a phenomenal fighter. He's great everywhere, good cardio. He does everything correctly. What I really, really like, his last fight in UAE, he did fight a guy who was 5'9", a good fighter who was 5'9". So he does know how to navigate the distance. He's a smart guy. He's got a good record. I mean, Ray Borg's the man. I like Ray Borg here. Why not?
Yep. I think the only thing that's going to give him some problems, if it does, is size. Cody Gibson's big. We saw how Ricky Simone, Ray Borg was better, I think, everywhere than Ricky Simone. And Ricky Simone was like, I'm big, deal with it. I won this fight. So, it was really
split decision too.
It was a split decision, but Ricky Simone just bigged him. I don't think that Cody Gibson is going to be able to big him in the same way. I got Ray Borg here. And then other than that, there's nothing I don't think on the card that I want to go crazy into, but I definitely think if you guys just want to go down that card, pick the Russians, parlay multiple Russians together and profit. That's the way to do it.
Can I heed that warning really quick? Okay, because there is one that I just need to talk about, because I was thinking the same thing as you. You know, I always try to think the A side, the B side. Consider it. It's Khabib's promotion. Of course, he wants the Russians to beat the non-Russians, right? Of course. Now, let's look at this this John Howard fight. Let me see. Because what you would think is John Howard versus Ramazan Kurmagomedov. When you look at this Ramazan Kurmagomedov, you see a 9-0 Dagestani Russian. He's in there training with Usman Nurmagomedov. He's friends with Khabib. This kid is a bad Russian. He's not a good Russian. He is supposed to be Saeed and Zabit's training partner. He's supposed to fight like them. He's a striking Russian that's supposed to counter wrestle. The kid can't wrestle. Not only can he not wrestle, he gets clipped often. You know, what was really sad about him to me, I watched his fight against Trevor Ollison. Trevor Ollison is brought in. He's actually fighting this weekend also. He's constantly brought in to just be the can for prospects. And Trevor Ollison was tagging him on the feet, pushed him to a second round before he just completely gave up. And that's how you know he's just a can of all cans. This kid Ramazan was struggling with him. He didn't get a contract on Contender Series. Dana thought that Jordan Williams beat him on Contender Series because he got dropped in the first. He got dropped in the third. He can't wrestle, right? Somehow, by the grace of God, he got that split decision, and that's why his record is intact. But, I mean, you look at it. If he had great cardio, okay, now I'll say he's a clear blowout winner over John Howard. But John Howard's a good black belt in jiu-jitsu. He can wrestle. He's got power in his hands, and he's an ultra veteran. And I don't, you know, if Ramazan isn't coming out super sharp and clipping him early, I think you could see you know, again, if the promotion is legit and it's real and the fights are real and nobody's getting paid to take a dive, I think we see a really competitive fight here. I think he's a fraud, this Russian.
Okay, interesting. You know, it's funny actually that you say that. I'm looking at the card really far down the first fight, Sean Bunch and Ferdavis Casanova. So I don't know Ferdavs Casanova at all. But I know Sean Bunch is an AKA guy, you know, where Khabib has been forever, all of those guys. And we actually just got offered Sean Bunch for Hunter Azure for this fight card. We accepted it, and they turned it down and, you know, didn't accept it, took the other fight. So Sean Bunch is an A side on this one. You know, so that's another one too. So definitely do your research if you know, but if it looks like a duck and talks like a duck, don't worry about it. It's a freaking duck. All right. So, you know, not all of them, definitely look at them. But if you're like, if you can't find something, or if you just want to start throwing money down, or you're just excited to bet on the Russians.
The other one I want to point out too really quickly before we move on is Loic Radzhabov, PFL veteran. He's a really solid guy, good gym, good cardio, good wrestling, good striking, does everything correctly. I think he's a Sanford guy, and he's fighting Zach Zane, who, if you look at Zach Zane's beginning record, he started out his career like, oh my God, it was horrible. He was 4-7 to start his career. And then he beat a bunch of guys with losing records and bad records. Typical Hawaiian, crazy striker, gets tired, gasses, can't wrestle. So I like Loic a lot there too. Okay,
nice. And then honestly, let's get to Bellator. This is a fun card. This is one of their better cards in a while. Bellator is notorious for having a couple of main fights and then a lot of local undercard fighters. I feel like they're starting to turn. I feel like the last card they had a much better card. I feel like this card they have a much better card. I mean, are we starting to see a trend to better overall fights on Bellator, or do you think they're going to go back?
No, I don't think so. I think I think that this is still a building card. I think they still have the matchups there. They're just not as blatant as they have been. And they're also trying to sell tickets. So it's a lot of hometown guys. And then they're going to see who their prospects are to go forward for the rest of the year. Yeah, I mean, one thing to note is when they have the fights at Mohegan Sun, they are not selling tickets. They don't care. It's just a TV rights thing. That's in Phoenix this go around. Where did they have the fights at last time? Was it downtown? It was downtown, right? Yeah, I think it was Footprint
Center. And there was a ton of people. That was Bader headlining the card. I mean, that thing was almost sold out. It was the most I think I've ever seen it at a non-UFC event. I mean, there must have been 10,000 people.
It's because Corey Anderson was fighting.
Huge ticket seller here in Phoenix.
All right. Let's jump in.
Let's do it. Where are we starting?
So let's start from the bottom as per usual. So kicking off the card, we have Ben Big Tuna Parrish and Sully Cully. What you got?
Man, people are big on Parrish now. He got the win over Christian Edwards. Went out there, swung, dropped him. He's 5-1. He's got the experience. All right, you look at Christian Edwards. He was 5-0. He fought Teddy Holder, 10-5, and then he's got the 1-1, 0-4, 3-14 type of stuff. Sully does not have anywhere near that many fights on record with MMA. He's 2-0 as a pro. Actually, even as an amateur, he's 4-2. All right, but he actually has a ton of kickboxing experience. A ton. He was a wrestler at ASU. He has been Ryan Bader's training partner forever. He has come in and run camp with Jordan Johnson quite a bit. He's very good. He's very young. He's very dynamic. He's very explosive. I mean, I know Sully, so you guys out there take this with a grain of salt. But without knowing him, I just think he is the better fighter. Even without that, I think he's young and dynamic. His striking is good. And I just see him coming away with a win here by finish, by stoppage.
Yeah, this is hilarious to me. Even if, okay, that last fight was crazy, right? There's no way on earth that Big Tuna should have beat Christian Edwards. It's just, he's a scholarship guy. He's a Jackson Wink guy. Like, say what you want about Jackson Wink now, but Christian Edwards got the goods. I mean, the kid's got cardio. He's a good striker. He can wrestle. He just does everything well. He went out there, knocked him out in 36 seconds. Great. We all get caught. It happens. It's part of the game. But it's amazing to me what I'm seeing on MMA Twitter. And if you've never been there, Coach, it's a scary place because you get this crowd mentality and everybody jumps on one person. And this week, for some reason, it's Ben Big Tuna Parrish who everybody's jumping on. And, okay, I get it. It's fine. He's better than how he looks because he's fat, right? He's better than how he looks. But that doesn't make up for the lack in skill. He had heavy hands against a kid who kept his chin up and his hands down. But now let's see what happens when explosive, dynamic Cauley starts to wrestle him, starts to beat him up, starts to really show what actually could happen in a real fight that goes for more than 36 seconds. I just think Sully is way too good, way too talented. This is his shining fight, right? Bellator's in a win-win here. If Big Tuna wins, he is so marketable because of how he looks. And if Cauley wins, okay, now we have a star that's got real skills on her hands. So for them, they can't lose. For me, I'm just going to go with the ASU wrestler, the multiple-time kickboxing title holder in amateurs, whatever. You look at his amateur losses, he lost to Billy Elikana, who is phenomenal, and then he lost to a kid who was 9-0 by a split decision. So get out of here. Like, this is not even a close one to me. I'm glad that the people on Twitter are going to keep pumping this up because then it's going to make the line drop for Sully, and I'm all over it.
Snatch it up. Yep, I'm with you. Next up, we have Weber. Now, is that Weber Almeida? Man, there's so many different nationalities. That, like, is it Weber? I don't even know, man. We got a Machida karate specialist against Fabricio Franco.
I think all the Brazilians are cheetahs.
Oh, man, I wish I had that. Wait a minute. Hold on. I think we have sound effects here. Hold on. Let me see if wait.
Oh, jeez. I love that the people, as they follow us, get to see us just unfold here.
Okay, so that was a drum roll, but not not what I was looking for. But anyway, you guys got it. Oh, wait a minute.
We'll pretend we heard it.
Yeah, hold on. We did it. I have got that. I've got those sound effects over here.
We don't hear them, but it's okay.
You can't hear that?
No, now it just made the screen all different. It's okay.
Man, well,
we're good. We're rolling.
Hopefully that came out. We'll see when we edit this. We'll
Post-production.
Anyway, all right. So we've got a Machida black belt karate guy, Fabricio Franco. man, these Machida guys, if I never see another Machida guy fight, I'd be okay. And I say that because we just got offered, I don't even know if I can announce this or say this, but one of our guys I'll just say, one of our guys just got offered Bruno Souza in the UFC. And Camuela fought Bruno, and he should have won. He won the first round. He absolutely lost the second round, completely won the third round. Bruno just ran and key-opped and front kicked for 3 rounds, the most boring thing I've ever seen. We just saw him fight in a UFC recently. Pretty boring. Pretty much did the same thing. He just like throws a front kick, key-ops, runs away. It's just a boring style for me to see. I really liked watching Machida because I thought he was very effective with it, and I thought he was, he was putting people away. It was a lot of fun watching him. His guys, I really am not excited about watching. That said, I think Bellator is big on him. He's fighting another striker. I think he's going to just full on Machida, some karate, and get the decision win.
This is actually one of my favorite spots on this card, and it really shouldn't be. And again, it's these people love to pick the dogs because it's just so low rent to do it. Let's just break this one down, right? So Weber was on the card already. In his last fight against Soto, he was like a minus 1,400 favorite or minus 500 favorite, something insane. And he ended up losing the fight, right? He made 2 mistakes. So the first mistake is he turned his back, which is something we all normally do, right? We turn our backs when someone goes for a takedown, we peel the hands and we cage scrape and we're up. Well, he peeled the hands. Johnny Soto didn't die, jumped on his back, and then dominated him the rest of the round. Now, round 3, instead of just defending the takedown, he went for a Kimura, and he paid for that.
It's a kiss of death.
Ended up on his back again. Kiss of death. But that was also against a guy who wouldn't die. Now, fight before that kid was training at AKA, supposed to be some good wrestler, or at least improved his wrestling. That's what everybody was saying. Josh Thompson, right? Because he trains with him. And Weber defended the takedowns incredibly. He's got really good hips, and when people shoot from distance, he sees it coming a mile away. Now, the other thing that's really tough too is when you fight a karate-style stance guy is learning the timing on it, because the punches and the kicks come from crazy angles. The footwork's different. The chin is straight up in the air, and that's almost that false sense of engagement, right? You want to chase down that chin and try to headhunt, and that's when you get countered. Weber Almeida is Bruno Souza, if he didn't run the entire fight, had a lot of power and really good technique. He's actually a really good striker. He comes to swing, he comes to fight, he tries to knock people out.
But he has
a
good
Weber's
range and
really,
distance
really
as well. And fighting Franco, who is another striker, he's out of MMA Masters. He's more traditional of a striker, and he's got a lot of, KO, TKO wins. I think that's going to be his demise. I think he's going to come in and press, and the elusive Machida is going to come out, but with a little bit of power.
Yeah, and you know what? Franco's really skinny. He got bullied in his last fight by a kid who actually was, they said, standing in a karate stance, right? He was getting tagged on the feet. He was getting taken down at will. They call this Weber kid, they call him the silverback because he's so strong. Just look at the fight that got canceled, right? The original opponent, he was going to smoke him. They brought in a late replacement on, a couple days notice, weeks notice. Don't overthink this one, guys. To be honest, you're going to get really good value here. I've seen this line open up at minus 210. I love this spot.
Perfect. Next up on the card, Lucas Brennan, Brennan-Lugo. Lucas Brennan is Chris Brennan, I believe Chris Brennan's son. And Chris Brennan, okay. So for you people who don't know who Chris Brennan is, gosh, I might even be dating myself here too. For anybody that trains jiu-jitsu, there's a Kimura trap system, right? You know the Kimura trap, right?
Lloyd Irvin.
Yeah. And who, do you remember who it was that did that? I mean, of course, Lloyd Irvin did it, but who was the actual fighter or grappler that put that together? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
It was Avalon brothers. It was David Avalon and his brother, I think it was Marcos Avalon. Phenomenal fighters. They're
you're right.
Freestyle Fighting Academy. Yeah, well, that was about a decade after Chris Brennan did all of that. I mean, I remember, no, I'm not even kidding. I remember learning, this is in 2000, 2001, maybe 2002. In Grappling Magazine, there's a whole section where Chris Brennan was going over instructionals, all Kimura stuff, all Kimura trap stuff that people just took 10 years later, named it something, and now it's a thing. Chris Brennan is, I mean, he's the one that head kicked Antonio McKee in King of the Cage with shoes on. I mean, it was like, go do your research, guys.
Wow.
Chris Brennan has been around forever. Phenomenal Kimura. Fought in the UFC. Looked like, gosh, what were the people on Star Trek, the Ferengi? He looked like an alien. He is not model of the year. Just super weird looking dude, but really a good fighter. His thing is he didn't really have a camp. It was Next Generation. Next Generation was his thing. And now you see Next Generation London, Next Generation. I think he's out of Frisco, Texas now. But his Kimura was phenomenal. He really didn't have the wrestling. That was kind of his downfall. He lost to Pat Miletich. He lost to some of these better guys, really just due to wrestling. And there wasn't that much money in the sport at that time, you know, in training. And this is late 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. But Brennan was the man. I believe Lucas is his son. He's 20 years old. He's 5-0. He's fighting Ben-Lugo, who's 5-4. I mean, this is an easy fight. I mean, this is Lugo is being brought in to lose to Brennan. You know, I think that's an easy spot here. I mean, he's got a loss due to punches to an 0-0 guy. Another loss due to punches, 0-0 guy. Another loss, rear naked choke to an 18-10 guy. I mean, this is a no-brainer. You know, Brennan takes him down, submits him. That's a wrap. On to the next.
Yep. I totally agree with you. My only advice here, guys, for the price tag that it's at, to put minus 1,400 on a 21-year-old, even when they're supposed to win, I would just, you know, there's better stuff. You know, you could choose a hockey game they're up 2 goals with a minute left for the same odds. So I would say enjoy that one, watch it, wait till we get some better odds and more data.
Yeah. I mean, if there's some decent props out there, like Brennan finishing the fight and it's
by submission
for minus 110, great. You know, of course, go take it. But yeah,
yeah, you wish.
Yeah. I mean, you know, something like that. But yeah, I mean, this is Brennan's fight to win. Don't overthink that one, guys. Who's up next?
All right. So next up, we have Nikita Mikhailov and Brennan-Lugo.
I don't know Mikhailov. I see he's a Russian with a bunch of decisions. Have you done tape on this guy?
Yeah, so I watched that last fight with Brian Moore. Now, Brian Moore is very, very near and dear to my heart because he was a part of the biggest week that I ever had, the week where I flew to Vegas to go put in the bet. I only ended up getting $1,200 on it, but I made
who was Moore fighting that day?
He was fighting some kid from LFA, Winsky,
Jordan
or something
Winsky,
like
you're
that.
right. Yes. Yep.
And how many clips did I send you of like where Brian Moore was fighting at 145 pounds? He's smaller than I am, rocking AJ McKee, taking AJ McKee down, beating the hell out of him until he ended up losing in the end. So I respect Brian Moore a lot. I think Brian Moore is very good. Now, Nikita Mikhailov beat the hell out of him. Elbowed his head, had him busted up, cut open. This kid is good. He's being brought in to win. He's the 135 future of Bellator. I think he's who they want to win.
Yeah.
Brennan-Lugo is supposed to be a wrestler. He's not very dangerous on the feet. He's a little bit crazy. He throws up Hail Mary submissions. I mean, please, guys, for the love of God, do not overthink this one. It's Nikita Mikhailov.
What are the odds on that one? Are they decent?
Minus 900 and minus 1,000.
Man, we are getting,
and still I want it.
Bellator gives us boxing odds. Like, you notice, I mean, UFC, it's like plus minus 200, 250. Crazy fights are plus minus 400. I mean, we're getting boxing odds. Minus the fight before this, Brennan, minus 1,400. Oh man, Bellator, put together something so we can. Who is throwing $1,400 down on Brennan to win $100?
It's the parlay killers. That's what they're going for. And you know what? On this one, I might take the bait. I have a really solid, dependable Russian. If we can stack enough of these bad boys together, and still I want to limit the fights, but I think this kid is solid. He's not 21 years old. He's a tank, makes no mistakes. He's active and aggressive. Like, to me, even at 900, 1,000, I won't put him in everything, but I like him a lot.
Okay, I like it. Moving along, because there's a lot of fights on this card. We've got Dalton Rosta, and he is fighting Dwayne Johnson, who, by the way, his nickname is The Rock. So for that reason alone, all right, forget about actually knowing anything about him, seeing him, anything. If somebody's taking on the name Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and you know nothing about him, nothing, you've never seen this person fight a day in your life, are you saying to yourself, this guy's phenomenal or this guy's a twat?
I mean, you want to say twat, but that's kind of awesome.
No, it's completely awesome.
He shaved his head and everything.
It's very funny. It's very funny. But you got to say he's a bit of a twat. Just taking on.
But we don't want to be funny.
Yeah, we don't want to be funny. We want to be funny. But when you're fighting, I mean, you want to be funny, but you want to be original. You don't want to take on, that's literally somebody else's name. Like Dwayne the Rock and Rolla Johnson. I don't know, anything. Just a play on it. But to actually just take The Rock, I think that is so random and weird. Anyway, that said, Dwayne Johnson's losing this fight. I mean, he's fighting guys. Look at his record. His last couple wins, he beat a guy who was 4-8. He beat a guy who's 3-7. Lost to a guy who's 0-1. Lost to a guy who's 5-4. Beat a guy 0-2. Beat a guy 7-21. Strength of schedule here. I mean, Rosta's tough. He's strong. He's big. He's got a little bit of cardio problems, but not to the extent of what you would think for being as big and strong and tough as he is. I mean, is this an overthink him one?
I don't think so. And here's why. I actually have a near and dear love for Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He was also a part of my big ticket, a couple big tickets that I placed in Vegas when he fought Devin Fisher. And I don't know why. He's got all this kickboxing experience, all this jiu-jitsu, and he's showing himself wrestling. He's actually at Sanford MMA now, which is kind of surprising. I couldn't have been more nervous. He was only minus 375 against 4-8 Devin Fisher. I couldn't have been more nervous for that fight than any other fight on that freaking fight card. And he got head kicked early and then ended up winning really quick. And I was like, okay, thank God. But yeah, Rosta's the A side here. This is a late replacement fight. I actually think the fight before this one was a really tough fight for Rosta. He had Romero Cotton. So that was a winner gets a huge promotional push because those are two studs and stars in Bellator right now. The replacement, Dwayne Johnson, I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he's ready for this challenge. I think that Tony Johnson fight was a lot tougher fight for Dalton Rosta than Dwayne Fisher. I mean, he's a much better boxer. He's durable and got cardio for days. I think this is a don't overthink him. I think Dalton Rosta smokes him here.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's so funny, too. I mean, we talk about A-side and B-sides on most events except for the UFC. And on a betting side, you really, really have got to like the Bellators, the LFAs, the CFFCs, the Eagles, because of A-side and B-side type of stuff. You put together 2 to 4 fight parlays that are kind of all A-side. Generally, you hit those. Every once in a while, something, pops. Or the weird Olympian Egyptian wrestler who can't get off his back against a blue belt. Stuff like that happens.
Oh, my God.
For betting, you really like these cards. For fights, though, you kind of want to not know who's supposed to win, and so it really does make me appreciate the UFC for how much they really do a lot of other stuff that I can't stand, you know, especially toward the fighters, fighter pay, just a lot of stuff that I'd really like to see a little differently. You know, they really are putting on the best fights for the most part.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Next up, we've got some good fights. A lot of those are unknowns. We've got Chris Gonzalez and Saad Awad. Man, and if you guys don't know Gonzalez, he is a solid high-level Greco-Roman wrestler. I think he's at Alpha Male. Yeah, he's at Alpha Male. We actually got offered this fight with, I believe it was Bryce Logan, our guy. And gosh, I forget how long, maybe 2 weeks before the fight, Bryce got, I think it was headbutted by, it might have been Corrales, who's fighting this weekend on the Bellator card. And it was the nastiest cut I think I've ever seen. And I mean, it wasn't the worst cut ever, but it was so jagged and it needed so many sets of stitches to like patch it back up that we ended up having to pull out of the fight. And that's when he ended up fighting Goiti Yamauchi, you know, and of course lost that. That was his first loss. But man, he is tough. He is tough. He is tough. Great wrestler. Strong as an ox at Alpha Male, who does a great job with wrestlers, really turns them into really good boxers and movers. And then on the other side of that, you have Saad Awad, who has been in Bellator forever. He's tough. He's at Millennia. You know, he swings for the fences. You can really never count him out. Well, I guess when he was younger, you couldn't really count him out. But now he's got chin issues. I kind of worry about his chin issues. I think this is kind of a easy one for Gonzalez. I think this is a build Gonzalez over Awad, you know, by stepping on Awad. Do you see it any other way? I mean, is there a way Awad can win at this point? I mean, I know there's a way anybody can win. Do you think he has any chance here?
I mean, he's always got a chance, just like you say. He's always got a chance. And this is another one that really surprised me, that the consensus, like the Twitter consensus, MMA Twitter, love this pick. They love Saad Awad. And I can't for the life of me understand why. Even if he wins, this is not the right pick. Like Saad Awad is not the pick. He's 38 years old. He's got cardio problems. He's got chin issues. Like there's so much wrong with this pick in the long run. You're really going to pick against a world team Greco-Roman wrestler who's at Alpha Male, so he checks the gym box. He can wrestle and fight hard for 3 rounds. He's got good hands. He's got good striking. Like he checks.
And he's only 30.
85, 90% of the boxes. And he's 30 years old. You're gonna choose Saad Awad and tell everybody you want Saad Awad over this kid. This kid's a stud. And if you look at his record, Bellator has actually never really been that nice to him. They've only put him against tough people. So his last fight was against Goiti Yamauchi, who is very, very good. Surprised me with the boxing, surprised me with everything in that fight. Incredible. And before that, Roger Huerta, the veteran. But then you have Vladimir Tokov and then Aaron McKenzie. And the Aaron McKenzie one, I think, is not very good. That should have been a clear victory, not a split decision. But the Tokov fight was
good.
That was very good fight, very close fight. Could have gone either way. But that was a winner gets promotional push. And
yes,
here we are.
Exactly.
Promotional
he
push.
got the promotional push.
This.
Yep, exactly. So I like that. I think it's I think he probably wins by decision. I think the fight goes over a round and a half if you guys want to get proppy over here. But I think Gonzalez is the clear winner on this one.
Yeah, even if you guys don't love the pick, the pick is not Saad Awad. The pick is Chris Gonzalez or do not bet it.
Yeah.
You have a high-level wrestler and a good striker with a good camp who's way younger. I mean, that's the pick.
Man, so next up, we've got a fight that is interesting to me. We've got Enrique Barzola, who was in the UFC for quite a while. Let me see how many fights he has. I'm looking at his record now. I think he won the Ultimate Fighter Latin America, if I'm not wrong. I think he was on one of those, but I think he won it as well. He's got a loss against the Kyle Batchniak.
I have a loss against Kyle Bochniak. He beats everybody.
He is 6-3 in the UFC. He had a draw with Haniyaya last. Lost a decision to Evloev, who's great. But he also lost a decision to Kevin Aguilar, who, before he got into the UFC, man, if you guys knew Kevin Aguilar in his legacy fighting days, he was unfreaking believable. And he was like, he won on the Contender Series. They didn't sign him. Then he went up a weight class, won again on the Contender Series. And I don't even remember if they signed him then. They signed him afterwards, but it was kind of a, I don't think they signed him when he won the second time. And I think he ended up getting pulled up because of a COVID situation, quarantine COVID. Somebody got COVID. They pulled him in last minute. The UFC was never really big on him, and he was great boxing, tough as nails, just as good as they come. I don't know what the hell happened during COVID in his personal life, but he just became sloppy and out of shape and just had a horrible UFC run. So that win looks worse than, that loss looks worse than it is. But Barzola also has a win over Bobby Moffett, one of our guys. And he is really tough. He's not a world beater. My issue with this fight is I feel like Darrion Caldwell is one of those guys who has some of the best skill set with his wrestling ever and just some of the worst fighting ability ever. Can Caldwell wet blanket Barzola and just grab him, hold him down? Do you think for 3 rounds, or is he going to do some weird shit that gets him, just leaving his neck out or getting in these weird scrambles where he ends up upside down, or like what do you see here? I can't get a read on this because Darrion Caldwell is really good, and gosh, he is just such a weird fighter to bet on. And Barzola is good, but he is not a world beater, and I do not think he is world class. The top echelon of world class. And I think for me anyway, I think the over is the easy one. This is probably going the distance. I would say bet over 2.5. I cannot for the life of me. The smart money on me says pick Darrion Caldwell. He takes him down and holds him. And then the other side of me says just bet the over or get rid of this. This is what you said last. I'm not betting Barzola. I'm either betting Caldwell or I'm not betting this.
Wow, I like that you said that too. I like Caldwell here. And you're right. Caldwell's such a weird, crazy fighter because he could take you down and hold you for 3 rounds, or he could win in the first round with some crazy submission. Like, you just don't know how it's going to happen, where it comes from. He's crazy, but man, he can move. Man, he can wrestle. And so then it wasn't about Caldwell for me. It was, okay, well, what does Barzola look like, right? And we look at Barzola. So first and foremost, I want to point out this is at 135, and I don't think he had fought at 35 before the Ronnie Yaya fight.
Okay.
I think everything else was at 155 even, and then 145. Okay, so what I was watching, and actually this brought me to a lot of tape on Evloev. Evloev, he's not a take you down and hold you kind of guy. He flows and he transitions and he lets you stand up to roll you back through. And he's just an insane kind of crazy grappler. It's not very conventional. And I just kept seeing Barzola get up and up and up. And it's okay. It's worrying me now. Now I'm thinking, okay, Caldwell is going to get tired. That's when Barzola is going to come on and he could win this fight easily. Then you fast forward to the next fight against Ronnie Yaya, who does not have good wrestling at all. Ronnie Yaya, his wrestling is poor, but he doesn't stop coming forward. He doesn't stop driving, and he always finds a way to come up on top, even if he has to pull guard, which is
insane. He'll pull guard, sweep you, come up on top somehow.
It's crazy. And he did get Barzola down with like the worst single leg you've ever seen in your life. And once Barzola was down, he was down. He didn't try to get up. He didn't get up off his back. Like Ronnie Yaya stood on top of him for 2 rounds, built enough of a lead where when he gassed out in the 3rd round and Barzola got a 10-8, it ended up as a draw, right? And that's Ronnie Yaya. It's not like Ronnie Yaya had his back and couldn't submit him. Like, Ronnie Yaya was tired and he stood on top of him and just beat the hell out of him. to me, I like Caldwell here. I think Caldwell's wrestling is just like out of this world. He's so fast, so dynamic. And Caldwell has to know the deal, man. He lost a split decision in his last fight to Higo, who Higo's actually a good black belt. Higo can wrestle a little bit, and he's very physically strong, right? Which is all the things that Barzola would be, maybe except for the black belt. So he has to know that the inactivity is what killed him in the last fight. He's at Sanford. He's got cardio. He's got all the goods. I think for me, I actually feel comfortable betting Caldwell here. I think this is a good one. I want to tell everybody I like the over 1.5, but again, I could see him catching Barzola's back and submitting him in one. Who knows? But I like Caldwell here.
The safe part about that is Barzola cannot finish a sentence or a sandwich, let alone a fight. The guy, every fight he has is going to decision. Caldwell lately, you said he was at Sanford. I don't think that matters. I don't think camp matters with Caldwell. I think we are going to get the same Darrion Caldwell. The first Darrion Caldwell we ever watched is going to be the last Darrion Caldwell we ever watch, regardless of camp, regardless of anything.
That's why I put that on the far down the list, because I just think he's a good wrestler and he's athletic and dynamic.
I just wonder at what point. So you got Caldwell, and Horiguchi is phenomenal. He beat Caldwell twice. Caldwell beat Henry Corrales. He beat Adam Borix, both of whom are phenomenal fighters.
Amazing wins.
Then he lost to AJ McKee and Leandro Higo, both tough. That AJ McKee one, hey, AJ McKee's the champ right now. But the way he lost was just, he just laid there and did not even try and get out of that guillotine before he transitioned to the modified, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't even know what it's called. And then with
that was a weird thing. I never seen that in my life.
Yeah, and he just stayed there. And then with the Higo fight, so many times he would be in these situations where Higo would just be elbowing him from the bottom. My issue with Caldwell is he will get a takedown, stay on top, and literally just hold you, even if you're punching him in the face. We saw it with Horiguchi on the second one. He was on top, just holding for dear life. And Horiguchi is just punching him. And the judges gave it to Horiguchi from the bottom because they're just so sick of Caldwell just holding and not doing anything. I just don't know where Caldwell's head is at. I think it's definitely over 1.5. I think it's over a 2.5. The smart money is that Caldwell wins this. If you were to bet money on Caldwell, I don't think it's a bad bet.
It's a good bet.
It's a good bet.
Yeah.
But don't be shocked. Don't be too shocked if somehow he freaking loses from being weird Caldwell these days. And if this was one fight ago, I don't even think I would say it. But 4 fights of his last 6 where, and honestly, even in the Corrales fight, I cornered him for that. Corrales, that he had a really hard time with that camp. He ended up pulling a bone spur about that big. A quarter size, I think 2 quarter size bone spurs out of his elbow after that. And
if anybody would know anything about spurs right now, it's you, Mr. Headband.
I know spurs. And I believe that warrants.
That was a good joke. Where's the drums?
Anyway, so I think Caldwell is just phenomenal. I really do. His wrestling, he's so weird. He is just so freaking weird. I bet the over 1 on that. I wouldn't touch it. Another fight I wouldn't touch is honestly this next one, Sabah Homasi and Jaleel Willis. You got Homasi, who's batshit, hits hard, swings for the fences, gasses out for the most part, but he's freaking got wins over Bobby Volker, Curtis Millender. Really, really solid strikers. George Patino. He's a grappler, of course. Then he's got some losses in the UFC. Lost to Daly, but really he killed Daly, and Daly's just wouldn't die. And then you've got Jaleel Willis, who is a really good wrestler. But there's just too much weird stuff that can happen. This is one of those fights. I think probably if there's one fight on the card I wouldn't touch, this would be the fight on the card that I wouldn't touch.
Yeah, every Sabah fight is like, that is one you don't know what you're going to get. I mean, who in their right minds, like, who in their right mind saw the Koreshkov fight going all 3 rounds, right? It's like, okay, the recipe is really simple for Sabah. If you can get out of the first round, it's an easy win. He's going to gas out and you finish him. But that's not really how the fight went. I mean, he survived all 3 rounds with Koreshkov beating on his face. You know, he did it. And in the other fight before that, I actually bet big on Sabah against Paul Daly. And I thought I was a genius for a round, and then he gasses out and then he gets knocked out, right? I think Sabah trains with really good people at ATT. He's like an ATT mainstay. He's in there with all the best guys. I think Sabah is one of the best fighters on earth for about 2.5 minutes, and then he's in some trouble. But those 2.5 minutes, you got to watch out. I think Sabah is way better than his record is, and I don't think Jalil is as good as his record is. So could we see the same thing? Yes, the path to victory is very, very, very simple, right? You wrestle Sabah, you make him tired, you lay on him, you lean on him. Simple recipe. But Sabah's not a dumb guy. Nobody's dumb. Like, everyone's got managers and agents and coaches. Hey, Sabah, watch out for the takedown. He's going to try to take you down. And he throws one uppercut, one jumping knee, something explosive and dynamic like Sabah is very capable of, or he shows you some other skill set. To me, there's just, like, I guess to me, the smart money would technically be Jalil to just wrestle him and win that way. But Sabah is just that time bomb. He's gonna get everybody eventually.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the smart quote unquote money is on Jalil, and records mean something for the most part. I mean, he's 15-3. He doesn't know how to lose, and that really says something. Sabah has 10 losses. He's barely over 500. But again, it's you know, if you bet Jalil, it's probably not the worst bet on the planet. But again, just like Caldwell,
some smart bet.
It's a smart bet, but don't be too surprised if you lose your money on that one. There's so many other good fights on this card to pick. You don't need to worry about these these really, really risky fights.
And again, you think like you're doing the smartest thing by choosing fight does not go the distance, but we just saw Koreshkov couldn't finish Sabah Homasi, right? So come on, leave this one alone.
Avoid this one. The next one I'm going to avoid is, Henry Corrales, Aiden Lee. You know my take. I don't like to talk too much about fighters who are fighting. But I was telling you a little bit earlier, I mean, that's actually why I'm wearing the headband. I mean, one, it's just an awesome headband. It's a Cowboy, Wyoming. I got it in Wyoming. But I look like a train wreck. I just got done cutting weight with Corrales, who cut, oh my gosh, just a good amount of weight in 2.5 hours, and was just talking normal, fine, easy peasy. He'll get the other, I think he has like 1.5 pounds that he'll do in the morning. But we finished cutting weight pretty early, and he was just fine, normal, super easy, and on going to bed. But Aiden Lee's a good striker. He's very clean. A lot of front kicks, a lot of lateral movement. Corrales is going to be in your face, and he is going to throw. We know what we're getting, and I can't wait for the fight. Corrales is my guy, of course.
Yeah, this is first of all, I got to say, Corrales is such a great guy. I never met him, but I'm excited to someday.
So I've told you a lot about Corrales. Well, no, you got to tell the people about that. So this is one of those things. He's a great guy.
I never met him.
So Brandon's joking here because he's met Corrales numerous times, and every time they see each other, Henry goes up to him and is like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Henry." Shakes his hand, and Brandon's like, "Oh yeah, we've met." And this goes on every single time. And I think the first couple of times, I don't think he remembered meeting you, and now he's just trolling you.
I'm trolling him. He posted something for his after party, and I was like, "Man, can't wait to finally meet you at your after party to celebrate the win."
Well, good. Anyway, Corrales is a great dude. Do you want to talk about this fight at all?
Yeah.
I'm not going to, much. But.
Just a little. Yeah, just a little bit. I think, okay, first, Corrales is good, man. You look at Corrales and you see all the tattoos and like the angry looks and the mean stares, and you think, whatever about this guy. Corrales can wrestle his ass off. Corrales is such a good wrestler. He showed that in his last fight, beat the hell out of that Ukrainian guy. This fight, I think, is a little more interesting. I think it's a little tougher because it's a pure kickboxing match. You know, I don't think Aiden's going to be shooting for takedowns, and if he does, he's not going to get them.
Aiden shoots when he gets hurt. He will shoot. He shot on Pico. I mean, you know, Pico hurt him. He shot on him. He gets pressured. He will shoot. Crazy thing about Corrales is, like you said, he's a really good wrestler. I've literally seen Corrales take Henry Cejudo down, and I've seen Corrales take down Robbie Mathers, who, if you don't know who Robbie Mathers is, first of all, he looks like Macho Man Randy Savage in his prime. I mean, he's just a wild man, but he's a phenomenal wrestler. He went to, I forget if it's UAA Nationals or what, but he faced a D1 national champ, teched him in the first period. Then he faced another D1 national champ, teched him in first or second period. I mean, it was just nuts. And he ended up hurting his knee and ended up taking third or something. I forget, but just an unbelievable wrestler.
And for those of you guys who don't know what that means in wrestling, that means you beat somebody by so many points that they just call the match done and over with. So he's beating guys who are national champions so badly.
D1 national champions. And it wasn't even, I remember watching the video, or not the video, I mean watching it live on Flow. And it wasn't like he got, I don't even know if you can get lucky and tech somebody, but he's stopping shots, reshooting, taking them down, coming up, then turning them for 10 points. There's no luck involved. He's that good. And I've seen Corrales just blast double him numerous times. His wrestling is really underrated. His jiu-jitsu is really underrated. I am rolling with him the other day. We're going, and next thing you know, I'm in an arm bar. I'm like, how the hell did I get here? So he really is good. But actually, Aiden Lee has really good jiu-jitsu too. It's slick. He's long. He throws a triangle up there. He's got a really good guillotine. And he uses his jiu-jitsu well to scramble. On paper, you know, I mean, these guys have a very similar skill set, not in actual practical application, but you say, hey, these are two strikers who don't wrestle, who have good jiu-jitsu. I mean, that's kind of the paper side of it. But, you know, of course, we know there's a lot more to fighting than what's on paper. But I'm excited for this fight. And, you know, Corrales is, you know, like you said, people think, oh, just the tattoos, the crazy. Dude's a smart guy. He's a nice guy. You know, and just nothing but great things to say about that dude.
Well, and last thing I want to add too is like Henry, I guess, is kind of a brawler. Like he'll just in your face. He's just kind of mean and nasty and just wants to hurt somebody. But usually we hate betting on those people because, you know, they get tired and then they get even more sloppy and then they get picked apart. Corrales has some of the most insane cardio I've ever seen in my life. And the dude runs 20, 25 miles like it's nothing. He's shredded. It's crazy to me. So I don't think that's bad value to get Corrales, who's going to be in Aiden's face, pressuring him, wearing Aiden out, making Aiden run the entire fight. Like, I think this is a great spot for Corrales. Now, we're extremely biased, but so listen to us, don't listen to us, doesn't matter. Enjoy that one.
You know, next we've got the co-main event. We have the former UFC lightweight champion of the world, Benson Henderson, against Islam-Mamedov. This is a funny one. Not you know, funny like anything weird, but just.
Do you want to get the drums out?
Yeah, I think I might need a drum roll on this one. You got Benson, who's 38. Mamedov is 30, 32, something like that. Just whatever. I think I looked the other day. I was counting. Benson was 10 or 11-3 in the UFC. And then he left, and I think he is 6-9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. No, my counting is bad. 6-6. I was counting. There's some grappling matches that show up on Tapology. So he's 5-6 or 6-6, whatever. My counting.
And those grappling matches are two world champion jiu-jitsu players, my guy Edwin and Marcio
Yes,
Andre.
I mean, these guys are really, really good. And Benson is a phenomenal grappler. He was an NAIA All-American college wrestling. You know, he lost a decision to Jason Jackson, decision to Brent Primus. Got knocked out by Chandler. He's always had a hard time with good boxers. I mean, he really is fighting the best of the best of the best. And he lost to Andrei Korshakov decision. I think this fight really comes down to watch his last fight with Brent Primus. And Islam fought Brent Primus as well. And I feel like the real crazy thing here, not the crazy thing, I think the deciding factor is youth and just going for it. Benson, I feel like he's very tentative these days. He fights to not lose versus fighting to win, it seems like to me. And in that Primus fight, I think he made some low fight IQ moves. He kind of gave up top position a couple of times by jumping to stuff. He jumped to the guillotine, ended up on his back. He just didn't fight for top position. He didn't fight for cage control. It almost seemed like he got a little panicky, like he thought he was down and he had to finish. But I think he did that a little bit too early, where he still could have won by the standard means. And Islam, I think, is just a tough Dagestani, body locking, I'm going to throw you to the ground and find top control Russian. And I think this is a very close fight to the Primus fight with Islam and the Benson fight with Islam. And I think I see Islam coming out on top. It wouldn't surprise me if Benson does. I think this is an easy over round and a half, over 2 rounds. Neither of these guys are finishing fights at all. I mean, it's almost, gosh, I'm looking.
Free money?
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking. Benson has not finished a fight, man, since Roger Huerta in 2018. Chandler knocked him out. Before that, I mean, decision. He got injured with the leg thing with Pitbull. I mean, almost all of his fights are decisions. Islam-Mamedov, I'm looking right now. I mean, decision. He had a knee bar, win, draw, decision. Benson is too good to be finished by a non-striker. This fight goes the distance. Gun in my head, I'm picking Islam. Wouldn't surprise me either way, but I think Islam wins this, and I think the over is almost easy money.
Yeah, that's the smartest way to bet this fight. I was hoping that Islam was like some just world-beating Russian that they can't wait to put against their champions, and I don't feel that way. I mean, I watched a few of his fights, and man, I was completely underwhelmed. I mean, his striking is pretty non-existent. His offensive wrestling to me was really not that impressive, to be honest.
It's a body lock. It's a body lock or a wizard trip. And then he'll just his top control is good. But it's not.
Once he gets there.
Even his ground and pound's not phenomenal. He doesn't advance. He just controls. I mean, he controls and he gets on top. He'll bully against a cage and just hang on you. I mean, Benson's always in great shape. I don't know if I've ever seen him tired. And honestly, I mean, he has leg kicks for days. He's so much better than people really know.
How he fights.
Because he really does have really good jiu-jitsu. I don't think his hands are great, but he really does have good knees. He has great kicks. We just don't see any of that anymore. And I think a lot of that just comes down to killer instinct. He's older, and I think that just drive to win.
He's got money.
Yeah. I just don't know if it's there anymore. And I think for nothing more than young testosterone, I think Islam wins this.
God, but you know what? Just the price tag is what drives me nuts. It's the same thing as what I saw with that John Howard fight. John Howard is being brought in to lose, and their young kid is supposed to beat a name in this sport and in this league. And when the Bensons and the John Howards of the world, these veterans are gone, this is who's going to take over. But that being said, I just don't feel that this Russian is that good. I mean, I really don't feel like he's that good. If Benson had an ounce of fight in him, like just an ounce of like, I'm going to defend this takedown, or I'm going to punch him in the face before he punches me, instead of standing there and staring at him for 3 rounds and like, nah, you couldn't submit me. If Benson had 1 ounce of fight in him, I think he could win this fight easily. I think he's much more dynamic. That guy never gets tired. He has all the tools you could ever ask for. That fight IQ stuff could be fixed in a heartbeat. I mean, he's been there, championship level experience, cardio. Like he's got all the tools and all the traits to beat this slow plodding Russian. And I don't think he's going to want it. I don't think he's going to use it. And that's the sad part. You won't catch me putting a bet in on this one. I think the Russian is way overblown. I think he's way overpriced for what he does. I think the 1.5 or over a half a round is probably where I'm going on this one.
Okay, nice. And now, that brings us to our main event. Ryan Bader, Valentin Moldavsky. Bader, of course, 28-7, fought in the UFC for a long time. He really fought a who's who while he was in the UFC. And out
of the UFC.
And out of the UFC, exactly. He knocked out Fedor, beat Matt Mitrione, beat Mo Lawal. He's kind of beat everybody.
Nemkov.
He fought Nemkov, got knocked out with Nemkov. But, I think at heavyweight, I think he's actually going to do better than light heavyweight. I don't know. I'm not sold on Moldavsky. Not that I'm not sold. I'm not sold. I am sold. He's very good. He's very clean. Bader has a hard time with very dynamic, fast punchers. Moldavsky is not a dynamic, fast puncher. He's a quick puncher. He's a clean puncher. He does not have the power that I think you need. A Nemkov. Man, that head kick, beautiful. Corey Anderson, that dude will throw down. I think Ryan Bader still has a lot of power. He's a big physical person. And I don't know that Moldavsky has that one-punch knockout power to do anything to him. He doesn't punch long. He doesn't loop these big overhands. He kind of peppers his punches. He's a decent wrestler. He's strong. He's fit. He's in shape. I think Bader is going to big overhand, big looping heater Moldavsky, push him against the fence, wear on him, and beat him up.
Wow. I am thrilled to hear you say that because I know everybody loves when you say, call me crazy. And I wanted to say, call me crazy, but I can see Bader running through this guy. I could see him running through this guy. I agree with you. I think weirdly he's going to be better at heavyweight. I think where Bader really struggled was the speed. Like Corey Anderson is fast. That guy can counter wrestle. That guy makes all the right decisions. Like it's going to be hard to beat Corey Anderson over the course of 3 rounds, let alone 5 rounds. But Moldavsky is much slower than Corey is. I don't think he's as good of a wrestler as Bader or Corey Anderson. I think that when Moldavsky realizes he can't take Bader down, he's going to be in a world of trouble. And these slow, laboring punches are going to be met with Bader dynamic, quick, powerful overhands. I really am I'm just not impressed with Moldavsky. I think that Bader is not only is he the A side here because he's selling all the tickets, he's a name, people know him. Man, just watching the actual fight film, I just like Bader here. And I think the smartest way, let's see, how many rounds is this? Is this a 5-round fight?
I don't know if it is. It's a title fight.
It's a 5-round fight. I think the best decision here, guys, I think the best decision here is the fight does not go the distance. If you don't feel like you can take a shot on Bader comfortably, I think fight does not go the distance because it's 5 rounds. When Bader stops winning, he concedes, he's done, he's out of there. He's got money, he's got everything he needs, he's good. And Moldavsky's big, he's powerful, right? So that's one situation. The second situation is Bader come out there and he blitzes him and puts him away quick and early. And so that's going to be my pick on this fight. This fight does not go the distance, and I really like Bader for an upset pick here.
Okay. It's interesting. If it was a 3-round fight, I would say the fight absolutely goes the distance. And that 4th and 5th round, I think you might have something there. That one worries me just because, Bader will lose inside the distance, but he's not really winning inside the distance lately. And Moldavsky, all of his fights are distance. Almost all of his fights are going the distance. Even his loss, a split decision loss. I think it actually probably will go the distance, but I think Bader is going to dominate this. But it wouldn't surprise me to see him get the finish early. But I think it absolutely goes the distance. I think Bader kind of dominates for 5 rounds, and I think that's it. I think it's a much better showing for him than the last time he was here, which was against Corey Anderson. So I like it. I think Bader's the pick here.
All right. I think that pretty much wraps it up. We got everything covered. One pick I want to give you guys. Now, let me tell you, I have not done my research yet. If you guys want to get all the picks, the breakdowns, everything, this is not, we're not dudes sitting in our underwear. I'm a brown belt. He's been a black belt for, how old are you? 50 now? Like, he's been a black belt forever. We know what the hell we're talking about. We're not the obnoxious blue belts. Like, we know what we're looking at. We've been around the game. So, subscribe to our Patreon. Go check it out. There's so much good stuff. Such a great community. In the Discord chat, man, we have guys that put amazing hockey plays. We have stock picks. We have NFTs. We have every kind of different topic you can cover. And these guys are all about making money. We have some awesome people in the community.
The MMA is the least of the exciting Discord. I mean, there's so much other stuff going on in the Discord chat. It's wild. I was asking you, it's our Discord, and I was asking you, I'm like, wait a minute, whose stock picks are these? Whose hockey picks are? Wait, how do we have a hockey thread over here? And you're like, dude, Jared's killing it with the hockey picks. Run with it. I'm like, okay, I'm running with it. But yeah, like Brandon.
At this point, I've handed over the keys. It's not our Discord anymore.
It's beyond us. It's bigger than us. But it is a great community. We give you guys the regional picks. We give you a lot of extra stuff. We give you access to our Discord. So definitely, subscribe to us here on YouTube. Like our video, please share our stuff, and come see us over on Patreon.
Okay, I want to give out this one free pick, guys, and I just know these guys very, very well. I've taped them both in depth a million times, and now they're fighting again. I need to refresh, but my pre-tape refresh. Here's one of my favorite picks of the week for the best odds. Jeffrey Glossner on CFFC. He's fighting this kid Escareno. Escareno might have the worst striking I have ever seen in my entire life. He's been favored as a huge favorite in his last fights because he will get tagged on the chin and he just doesn't die, comes forward, drowns these people. I hit a plus 350 dog against this kid in his last fight where he got knocked out in 30 seconds or 13 seconds or something. Glossner wrestled in college with Gregor Gillespie. He's got good hands. He's powerful. Like, I think he is the goods, and he's minus 110. So let's shift some lines, guys. Let's throw some money on that. Let's get these lines moving. All right.
Love it. Thank you, Brandon. And now we will see you guys next week for UFC pod. Strickland Hermanson.